Good evening, ladies and gents. This is Nerd to the Human, and welcome back to Humankind, where I've played a little bit more in between the two episodes here, and I definitely realise quite a few of the things that I've been doing in a rather inept way. So I figured out how to get the tea, which should have been rather obvious. The artisans' quarters. Definitely haven't been utilising the outpost in the early era enough. Over the city cap, I should really be on 2 right now. This probably should have stayed as an outpost, or at least joined into here. Albeit this is by far my most populous city, so maybe Sipar should have just stayed as an outpost. Nonetheless, we probably should be grabbing a few more outposts while we're at it. So we're going to head this cav out in this direction. Hopefully there's nothing attacking, but this is such a... Yeah, you really have to go in a very specific direction to get here, so it's fine. We're fairly safe at the time being. And also... Oh, there's a little thingamabob there. Yeah, we need to get re-exploring a bit, but unfortunately we're a bit penned in by this old war right now. Indeed, we are at war. So, okay, we got ourselves a little bit of a event here. So, of Dogs and War, alarming tone from Sipar, the heart of the Empire's most important breadbasket region. I don't think they've got the right idea here, because we don't have any food here. The people keep on dying every turn. Okay, wild beasts in unprecedented numbers, taking all of our livestock. So we can have guard dog. I want dogs. What have we got? Ignore it. Not particularly a great idea. And sacrifice. As much as that would be great for less cost for units, we don't have the population for units and minus food. Seems like a dumb idea. So yes, we'll get the guard dogs. Lovely stuff. And okay, we're pretty much ready to end our turn at this point. These guys are just going to recuperate. Yeah, we'll get those guys to hang out over there as well. Absolutely marvellous. So Babylon has converted to shamanism, which is ideal. I can see a little bit of a battle going on here. Interesting. Okay, we've got news from the borders.
Even I can tire of pillage.
Aha! So the Huns are actually ready for peace. Interesting. Now, I probably will take that, except I am 1 unit death away from this military star here. So... kind of makes sense to take them out before. Of course, yes, we are still in the ancient era here. We're about to enter the classical. We're 1 star away. That will happen very soon indeed. We are currently, very close on the technologies. We've got 8 out of 10. We're about to get the 9th. And yes, a few more of these we can probably nab before we move on to the next era. We're taking some pretty hefty damage here, but I'm hoping that we can actually knock out this chariot. It looks like we're going to be pretty close to it. Come on, give him a little poke. There we go. That's a unit down. Heavy damage taken to our men there. But with that, I reckon we'll just leave that battle for the time being. That's an era start unlocked, and they have a white piece. Now we've killed one of your units. We will go with it. Lovely. So with that, he looks happy at long last. Thank Jeebus, or whatever god it is that we follow. Okay, so that brings the war support down to 0 on both sides. That's lovely. They've given themselves some sort of militarist star, whatever. We, of course, are pacifists now. Now, that brings us the star that we need, but we are very, very close right now to a couple others. So I'm not going to jump straight into the era at this very second, but we are pretty darn close to where we want to be. We have ourselves a new civic here, independent peoples, and of course we are trying to bring some of our lovely neighbours into our empire. Now, we've just finished the war, so don't need to worry about the hiring army anymore. I was asking about that last time actually, but no, 50% on assimilation cost. Now, I wanted to save up my influence to assimilate, but this is definitely going to save me quite a lot, so that brings me more towards the homeland. Okay, that's interesting. I think that's what we're going to go for, though.
To offer than just their weapons. Assimilation does seem practical.
Practical indeed. So we have our neighbours down here, Seuss, who I'd quite like to get under my grasp. Now I have them here as one of, as getting on well with me. Now what I want to make sure is, I noticed on my other game that, yes, if they're too friendly with them, I don't know if that means this bar here or it's the final bar, but basically they'll resent you stealing their people from them. We'll end up with a whole Crimea situation, so we don't really want that. We want to grab these guys. 200, okay, 157 now, so 2 turns time we'll be able to grab these lads into our empire, which will be marvellous, but we do have a slight problem with that, which is it'll turn us into a new city, and then we'll be up to 4 out of 3. And okay, when you're 1 over, it's fine because we're going to be losing a bit. Yeah, -10 from the city cap. But if you go 2 over, then it starts to look terrible when it's like -50. So we're going to try and avoid that one, I somehow think. Now, okay, the influence is going to get up in 2 turns as well. Perfect timing to reach us that new star. And yeah, 3 turns for this. So yeah, 3 turns time, we will be moving on to the next era. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to get these guys back on to explore. We need to start exploring. I would like an outpost up here and over here. I'm more likely to grab this first, but we'll worry about the outpost before too long. If I could get the likes of Nock into the Empire as well, that might be a bit of a push right now. Not sure if they are. Actually, no. On top of that. Okay, so Humankind must be those lads. Yeah. So the Greeks are very much top of Wasukani. That's not surprising at all. And yeah, the Hunnic city of Asellus Secundus is very much under attack by the Greeks, and I suspect the Greeks they'll have that one before too long. Now, okay, we're a bit split up right now, but Zeus, of course, is going to give us a nice connection. At some point, I'm sure, did we sort out roads? Yeah, you can see the little roads, not big like on Civ, but at the moment we have actually no connection to Sipar up in the north. Now, of course, we will have this road along here to Zeus once we capture that. So I'm very much looking forward to it. We have ourselves an extra star then. That's more and more fame, and we're flying up the charts to 3rd now. You can see everyone else has already entered the next era. And annoyingly, yeah, our neighbours the Greeks are top of the pile by a long, long way. If you look at the map here, I'm starting to get concerned, actually, especially if they start eating up these lads as well, that they could, dominate this map. So what I need to start doing today is, eating up some of these before they sort of wither and die. It sort of says before they kind of get smaller, which it seems to suggest that will happen to these over time. So we want to kind of bring these under our heel, get this south coast, grab these 2, and maybe get ourselves an outpost a bit further up. There's Parthia up in the north. Hello, Parthia. We don't have a proper view of them, so when we go have a little explore in time and see what's over there. Okay, so we've got the Parthians up in the north. We know they exist vaguely, but not a lot more than that. So over here, we're finally done with our latest project. That's absolutely marvellous. And honestly, just starting to get things like House of Scribes would be a nice plan. We are sciencey, so we'll continue with that. And a melody for every occasion. Okay, so musicians celebrate the local culture, long history and holy rites. So what we're really looking here is whether we want to have sort of street musicians riddling their city. They could help commerce elsewhere. Yada yada yada. It's a +5 money, -2 science. I feel like in the Anarchy we like our science. That's kind of the way we do things. We can spend a bit of money to build, and that's plus industry. You know what? We really need some extra industry. At the moment we're not really doing well enough in terms of, well, anything as far as I'm concerned. So we are 1 turn away from the science boom. That's 9 out of 10 right now. Then we'll move on to our new culture. And with the research of masonry, we've flown up to 2nd place. Look at that. So this is partly why it's good sometimes to hang back in the era. It was not, in retrospect, worth it in the Neolithic, albeit I really didn't do enough hunting and I kind of mucked up those battles with mammoths. So yeah, I should have got a lot more food in the early era, got my population up, my people up, set a few outposts rather than jumping into the cities. But I guess that's just experience. We are now into 2nd place. Now, I don't think we're that near to anything else at this point. So territories. Now, I could grab one of those stars very, very quickly if I'm sensible about it. But the rest of these, I'm really not anywhere near, am I? No. So, no. The only thing I could do, potentially, is if I grab myself outpost, and people, which, to be honest, I'm quite tempted to do. So, if I'm at the outpost rather than cities, I should be in a good place to... Right, we're going to have us as a cab over here. That's perfect. So that's eaten up this tea, of course. It's grabbed this kind of bit of land over here, which is marvellous. And what I didn't really realise about outposts last time is when they're built, we can quickly grab ourselves some little basic artisan quarters and things like that, and then attach it to the city where it's, what do you call it? Its production is all kind of joined into the main city at that point, but it's better to keep them as an outpost, get a few basic structures built, and then move on. So we need 200 to grab Seuss, don't we? Okay, we still got 231, which should mean, actually, if we want to come down here and build ourselves an outpost in a sensible place, oh yes, we could be doing this. Well, I don't think we've got the right place this turn, actually. I tell you what, that we will come in this direction and we'll try and find ourselves the right spot. I'm not sure what it is, so we'll have a little ponder around here. There's a layer over here. Just, okay, we'll get off that for a moment. Nope, not there. Go to the lair first. We can actually, we'll go to that afterwards. We'll ransack that later. But there's probably, we'll find an ideal spot for all of this. I wouldn't mind, you know what, there are unknown strategic resources down here. And whilst this is a big open flat plain, I wouldn't mind, ooh, but then there is the copper and something else up there. You know what? You know what? I reckon nearer here might be better. You know what? I'll figure it out next turn, the exact spot. But yeah, I might just grab this sort of more easterly part. I want to squeeze in these lads. And I don't really... I'm not so bothered about annoying these chaps over here. So, you know what? We won't worry about those two resources. We'll go towards the more mountainous area. At least it's more defendable, I suppose. We're going to place down our outpost right here then. I like this position because it's got itself a nice defensive barrier to any potential attack from those lads. Now, actually, it's only dotted us right here, which is... I thought it would at least go one out, but apparently not. So our cav can at least go one dot over here. You can get there this turn anyway. Keep getting those curiosities. Animal remains. A bit of extra science would be lovely. We're going to get ourselves the wheel. Now, philosophy will get us an extra city cap because we're about to absolutely catastrophically ruin influence the minute that we grab that as part of our empire. So I just want to be a little bit careful. Okay, it's still under siege, which is not ideal. The Huns apparently feel pretty close to this as well. We're not going to be able to grab both of them without them feeling annoyed. So we'll see about that. We will see about that. Nonetheless, I'm not going to wait any longer to move on to the next era because actually that one that I was looking at over here only going to give me 40, and actually until I've connected those to the city, those outposts don't count, so that's fair enough. I want to do a little bit of building in them before I connect them. So you know what, that's probably for the best because you know what, we don't need to be hanging around any longer. Now, we do of course have ourselves some new people to look at. Now, everything else has already been taken, so we don't really have any options here. The Axumites over here, very much merchant based. The Carthaginians, again, merchant. Now, we do have a little bit of coastline nowadays, so it might be something I want to start to consider, but I'm not sure that's exactly what I want to do. We have, more aesthetic there, and we have ourselves expansionists, Persians, and some Romans who are also expansionists. Now, okay, we are looking to expand a little bit, but not necessarily through war, so maybe that would be an interesting one. Expansionist stars. Maybe if I was going to do this, I should have done those outposts a little bit later. Let's look at a bit more details on this. So, its finest +1 slot for each army. Upkeep goes down. That's cool. Triumphal Arch is good on stability. I'm going to need that when I take that other town soon, I guess. And Praetorian Guards. How lovely. Lots and lots of battle strength, which is what I want. I can continue, by the way, to build my unique Babylonian units, so I still get to build those. I don't have to stick with what I've got. So maybe that's what we're going to do. I was thinking of transcending, actually. I was thinking you can stick with the Babylonians, which just means you get extra fame bonuses for sticking with your peoples. But you know what? I think we might as well play around with some Romans. We're going to continue to expand a little bit, and you know what, why not? We're going to get ourselves in a war with the Greeks or the who are they, the Huns at the moment, yes, before too long, I somehow suspect. So I think a mid-term plan has to be build up our land now, get ourselves a bit more strength in territory, having survived that early war, and I think we need to, well, see what the Greeks like us, but we'll try and crush the Huns. Maybe not this era, but maybe the next one. Let's go for the Romans. Let's adopt those. Marvellous. So they are now new culture. Marvellous news indeed. So with that, we haven't obviously yet quite moved on. It hasn't done that. So I'll just sort out a few of my little units here. What are you going to do? You're going to move towards that layer and just ransack that, aren't you? That'll be absolutely marvellous. I think with that, one more horsey who's just going to go. I'll tell you what, you can go on an auto explore. That'll be marvellous. And with that, should get to move on to the next era.
As urban centres grow, both ideas and sewage are generated at a record pace. Arts and sciences flourish as military tactics and mathematical equations become as coveted as physical goods. Empires struggle to control these intangibles, however, as some might trouble their stability. Though the Romans did indeed appreciate intangibles, I might be tempted to say that their most famous creation was their legions, which were very tangible indeed.
And the Roman era begins with a brand new swordsman being added to our regiment. Isn't that just lovely? Yeah, we're starting to wonder again now we've got ourselves a few troops, which is marvellous. We'll put you onto auto explore as well. That will be grand. Same with this chappie over here. Now, for the time being, we're just keeping an eye on Zeus because I very much like to bring it in, and I kind of noticed the Huns are very close as well. Now, I looked this up in between. Having passed this line here of 60, they're going to be annoyed at us no matter what happens when we take them under our wings. So, I guess we might as well wait until a little bit closer to the city cap here. But it does concern me slightly that they could steal that from me. So, you know what? We'll see how that one goes. I'm not going to push it too close to the line. We'll keep on flicking over the turns for now. Marvellous, we have ourselves a good dog and bountiful food as a result. Isn't that just absolutely marvellous? Yeah, so with our extra exploring going on, we're now in a position where we can, yes, go and build ourselves some of our little outpost artisan quarters. And this is really how you should be doing these outposts, unlike I was doing on the first couple episodes. So now you can pretty much place these down with a bit of influence. That's marvellous. I don't think there's anything else we can really stamp down over here because, yeah, this is pretty much the only thing that we can do here. So the Greeks have special interest in this. They are interested in my tea. Indeed, so they should be. But, yes, I think there was another one of those little icons over there. We do need to build a little tea thing over here as well. So a new artisan's quarters would be absolutely marvellous. You can see there it takes 4 turns, whereas you can just get it built with influence. So, yeah, get your outposts sorted out. Build what you can in them first, and then you join them up later. I could attach this now, and to be honest, there's no real reason at this point not to, because, well, at this point, there's nothing more it can do by itself, so we might do that in time. No sooner have we become the Romans that we've stolen philosophy, presumably from the Greek lads over in that corner of the map. But with that, our city cap goes up, which is marvellous. We're immediately going to ruin the city cap by grabbing the city of Zeus over here. So, begin assimilating them.
They may seem small, but great things can come from small beginnings.
Indeed they can, and many great troops have joined our army. That is lovely. And these lads are ready to be upgraded, aren't they? Oh, yes. So, yeah, we can still continue to use these lads, which is very nice with anti-cav, and then we can have ourselves a Roman legion before too long. Although, for the Roman legion, we do need to go and solve one more thing, of course. Actually, can we bring you into our empire? We could, you know, we could. Right, well, that is perfectly possible. So, in time, might want to do that if we have enough of a cap for it. So, in terms of the Roman legion, we need to get ourselves access to iron. That will give us, yeah, the swordsman or our particular equivalent of it, which is our Praetorians, I believe it is, today as the Romans. Lovely. Now, what I'd like to do is get ourselves you over here and you over here as well. We'll just get them to join up. That's a nice position for them to be. They can sit there, and we might well build ourselves a bit of an encampment over here in time. But yes, we've just claimed this. I'm not sure how stable it's going to be. So we'll have ourselves a triumphal arch to remember the great triumph of this day. So, not sure why that is 23. I'd have to get rid of a farm district, but you know what? If it means that we get ourselves lots and lots of tasty influence, then we'll do that. That looks like it's a good plan. Okay, so the horse can gather up here as well. These guys can plod around together. Actually, we're Romans. We can go and wander into their territory. That's a good point, Thomas. It's a good... Right, I wanted the horse to be separate there. Can we separate horse? Thank you very much. Right, Mr. Horsey, you go into their territory because we're allowed to, just encroach all we want because we're Roman, and that's one of our lovely perks. Now, a cad. I would love to bring a cad under my wing. That's much more important than whatever town it was down in the south. But, whilst we are very, very high on the list here, it's currently under siege, so that's a slight problem. Unless we start breaking the siege, then, yeah, we're going to have to wait for a moment when it's broken for us to then get involved. Maybe what we need to do is swing some of our armies over in this direction, start giving them a poke. That might be an interesting thing to do. Can I do that? They're involved in the siege, so I can't right now. We can certainly stop any reinforcements from reaching it, at least from this direction anyway. So worth bearing that in mind, isn't it? And we have ourselves a new civic as well. Your merchants trek the world, reaching great markets in far climes. Send your highly prized natural riches. Yes, now that I've learned actually vaguely what I'm supposed to be doing on this game, we have a load of tea. Conversely, actually, we've obviously just gained ourselves gold and papyrus, I think, from these chaps over here. Yeah, gold and papyrus. Lovely. Right, so their provocative ideas and their wits and their goods. When their knowledge contradicts the wisdom of your elders, it raises the question of whom you should trust. Okay, so new civic. Who should we trust? The elders' wisdom. Let's not forget the lessons of our own history. Interesting, that's more science rather than tradition, even though it's coming from the elders, which seems interesting. Okay, I see. Okay, they're actually doing very similar things here, aren't they? Yeah, they're both pretty much sending things in the same direction. So +1 science per researchers on city or outposts, and +1 science per number of trade routes on city or outpost. Honestly, I don't know which is going to be more likely, but oh right, no, this one is sending it back to tradition. I misread the thing. I got confused. Yeah. So yes, obviously we want to make it more and more progressive, and we want the foreign innovations. Be not too proud. Outsiders may bring truths of the world. Indeed, they might.
In that wide world that the elders never even thought of.
I know, indeed. It's almost as if we know there's an extra 3 people that we have never met, and yet, yes, and yet there they are. They are there floating around on the corner of the map. In case you're wondering,
What do you seek?
these chaps are, the Greeks are at war with the Mycenaeans, or the Huns, sorry. But they're still friendly to us, which is good. I was worried they might start to get annoyed at me, but currently not quite there. However, I will go and grab myself a cab over here, and I'm going to attach that, actually. I think at this point, makes sense to join it all up. There's nothing more we can really build there with our influence. So onward we go. The Greeks like this place, as I know. That is fine by me. So yeah, as I say, we've now attached that. It's all part of the same district in essence. That's marvellous. And Babylon is now ready to get going. So stability is super high. We've got ourselves the population starting to increase. Now it's probably worth looking at some of these other things we've got here because, okay, something like school could be useful. Boring old granary it is, because I'm just that kind of a person, and we are 1 turn away from the House of Scribes over here, and I can't help but notice we haven't got the animal barns when we do have ourselves horses, +5 food per horse, so I would suggest that's probably a very good idea indeed, because, you know, Kiss isn't ever big enough as it is, although actually it keeps on growing and then dying again, so it's kind of stuck at its current population, so we probably should give it a little bit of a poke. On the note of little pokes, let's just poke our way. We can't quite do it yet. Yeah, poke our way into their empire. They've got themselves a lovely mix of silk, papyrus, and ebony over there. Horses next to the capital. Isn't that most marvellous? It's almost as if we should have actually started where we began, although there's not an awful lot over here where we started, is there? So, horses, tea, and iron. Well, I guess what more could anyone ever need in life? But no need to worry about that for now. What I do need to worry about is a cad, which is going to trouble me very soon, I think. And the descendant of kings, a filthy wretched man, has come to your empire, claiming to be a descendant of one of the ancient rulers of Zeus. Well, Zeus we've just eaten, so I'm not sure why you matter, my good sir. Yes, he's willing to forego all of his little problems if we fulfill the divine prophecy to let him lead it. Honestly, no. Switch on units for that 10 turns. Okay, not the worst thing in the world. More money, less science. No. And plus 10 stability. Yeah, just belittle him. Just belittle him instead. Sod that lad. Sod him indeed. Now, can't help but notice there are little things going on here. No grievances. Okay. Open borders. This doesn't matter because of me anyway. Yes, okay. So there was a little bit of an icon over there, but nothing really to note right at this second. What we'll do though is plod through our turn. Oh yes, of course, we're just moving these lads around here. This land over here is beautiful, by the way. There's Kiss going up and down once more. Very hungry lad there. New World Wonders. Okay, so this is... Please go away. Acknowledge. Yes. So, Colossus of Rhodes and Stability and Fame. Okie pokey. Nothing too much of interest. Militias are not lost over time of siege. Okay, interesting. Lighthouse of Alexandria then. That might be useful because 3 of these peoples are at sea. Oh well, across the sea somewhere. And we are gradually just taking this whole south coast for ourselves. So maybe that's something we want to think about in time. We do have ourselves a bit of spare influence right now, but I'm not sure it's necessarily worth it at this point to plunk it in on that. I think what we need to do this particular era, I think what we need to do is try and rebuild up our society a bit. Get on top of all of these resources that I was drastically ignoring as if to make life hard for myself the last few episodes. And really focus on building up my power, because I reckon if I build up enough forces around about now, they're going to waste their face throwing against the brick wall of a CAD, and then maybe, just maybe by towards the end of this era, I'll be ready to storm in on the rest of their territory and maybe just take them out of the game because they're kind of annoying me. A new civic. The capital is the empire's juicy to power, but the other cities emerge with populaces ready to rise to prominence. Their leaders and other influential figures want sway over the empire's affairs, and the question of who wields power must be answered. So the struggle for dominion, I think this one we can change our capital. Let's have a little look-see at this. So the small council, a handful of the wisest heads to give good counsel. Okay, so that is going to shift it way more towards liberty over authority, or an autarch, so the absolute will of the leader should not be diluted. Plus for 25 stability in capital. This is +1 to the city cap. Oh, we're going to enact the small council. Oh yes.
To the onslaught of more brains.
Yep, more brains is a good thing. Don't try and do it all yourself. And as much as that's immediately got me to the city cap, what with this under siege still, and not sure how I can intervene. I've been trying to figure that out, but I can't quite work it out. I have noticed here that these lads are in decline, which means that they're about to disappear in about, well, within 10 turns, it says here. Look at all of this stuff that they got. They may put me to shame. No, we're assimilating the people of Nock, and they are now our people. And here is some iron, which apparently we're not actually currently doing anything about. But should we do that first? We probably should, actually, because we want to get that iron sorted out for our Roman legions. We're building it over in Sipar over here in a turn or so. And actually, you, sir, you can get it right now because you can just spend some influence to do it. Oh, yes. Isn't that just wonderful? Right, build yourself those two with the good old influence button. Isn't that just beautiful? And we'll, connect that in time. Maybe we should connect that up to Sipar now that it's as close as it's ever going to be. I suppose that does make sense, doesn't it? Attach that for 24. And there we go. So now we're looking a little bit bigger, aren't we? I must say we've really could do with eating a cat, but not for the time being. We've got ourselves a bit of a thin strip here. I might go and plonk down an outpost here, but is it going to be too expensive? I'm not sure, I'm not sure. I'll tell you what, I'm not sure what's the best position. We just really need to eat up as much of this land as possible. Yeah, some of this a bit blank. I think some of this might be blank, you know. I can't really tell at this point. Anyway, nonetheless, we will probably consider doing that very, very soon. Oh, yes. We can target another empire's outpost or military centre with an army to add it to our empire. Right, okay. That might have been a way of just doing what we just did without spending all of that influence that we just spent on it. I'm not sure, but we will see. Now, can't help but notice we're starting to get closer and closer to all our stars. Probably something to do with the fact that I just grabbed myself a huge new city, which was in decline, but apparently was 8 times better than anything we had. So hopefully we'll never invite any of our people down here, because otherwise we'll be awfully, awfully embarrassed when they see this rather than our capital. Interesting, the Greeks have changed their behaviour towards us. Their attitude is now more towards appeasing us. Partly the different religions that's slowly giving us a little strain, but also you see there, we are their closest challenger and they depend on us to access for their resources. Interesting, obviously, yeah, claiming this bit of land down here isn't actually strictly on their border. We're not on their border at all, but yes, if you go to the scores up at the top here, yeah, we're in second place behind them now, so we're starting to catch them up. And I think, yes, as I say, the ultimate war on this continent, I say war as if I have to go to war with them, but the ultimate conflict, especially if they're going to be fairly strong, is ultimately going to be with the Greeks, you'd like to imagine. Now, I've got myself, yes, 5 cities. I'm guessing by the AI here, I probably shouldn't be going over this cap, but I am doing it anyway, damn it. So we're going to have all these cities for the time being. Maybe Kis never really should have been one. Oh well, it's absolutely fine. I'm enjoying my little cities over here, and I don't really mind if they change their attitude to me over time. We'll just have to beat them back. Now, the Huns, unfortunately, yes, I did send that land into their territory. Inevitably, they got attacked, and thus we retreated, and they gained war score and all of that. So that's a slight problem. I feel like they are still going to attack us before long. So we will see about that, especially their war support's so much higher. But, you know, in time, maybe that will change. Now, we're just getting ourselves a few of these triumphal arches up. We're just getting a few other districts sorted out. This is not my involvement. Thank you, game. Dear. Yes, I think the fact that we just got ourselves a huge pile of extra units and city here has just slightly tweaked the interest of the Greeks, who presumably will be claiming Wasukarni for themselves before long. They're still in zenith rather than declining, which is interesting. And we're surprisingly close to the Greeks in influence here. Probably not worth it at this point, but an interesting one nonetheless. I must say, as much as it's been interesting claiming these, I think as a general rule, you probably don't want too many of these on your border because, well, they're expensive. You know, they eat up your city cap, of course. So it's okay being 1 over. It's not costing me too much, -10 there. But if I go 2 over, it's going to be like -70 because I've done that on my other save file when it's not a sensible plan. Some of the Huns decided to take us on, and I'll be honest, it's not going to end very well for them. They have done a little bit of damage, but they're now losing themselves 2 units of experienced horsemen, which probably suits me. There we go. So not quite a war again, but quite a lot of battles taking place, and there are a lot of things. Technically, we're allowed to trespass because we're Romans. We decided it. Stalemate independent people. Yes, they've taken a CAD, by the way, and we consider that very much oppressing my people. Now, that's a demand. We don't really want to go for that right this second. What was the war score, by the way? Okay, the war support is over 55-ish right now, and that's about to jump up, and there's about to fall aggressively after that little battle over here. Now, the reason I was plodding in this direction was to try whatever this button here is under one banner. I have no idea if this will actually work on this, but we're going to try it. So 4 turns, and I guess that'll bring that into my empire if indeed that works. So we'll see if that happens. Could be very interesting indeed. And yes, a CAD has fallen, which is unfortunate. Not a lot more I can do about that, but there's myths and monsters. The Empire's reputation as an oasis of learn and knowledge grows indeed, so it should, together with the reigning peace. Philosophers, not for long. Philosophers from faraway lands flock to our city to exchange ideas. Well, that's the whole plan. One has studied great fiery visitor of the heavens. that rises and sets without fail every day. You mean the sun? They have proven the sun is an orb of vast distance from our world and not a celestial god. Should you open people's eyes to these new vistas? Well, I think so. That sounds like the right thing to me. Enlighten at the moment. Chance of triggering another event in the narrative. Well, that sounds great. +5 science or +25 faith. Okay, we're going to be enlightened rather than fanatical.
The end of an ideology axis isn't extremist. Think of it as being focused, yes? Very goal-oriented.
Goal-orientated. How marvellously British you went there, sir. Okay, well, things are going all right. We're slowly getting ourselves closer to a war with these lads once again. The most important thing, though, is that we need to get Imperial power. We're actually really far away from getting Praetorian Guards. We need 14 turns of science, so I might need to boost my science up. Get myself some quadrimes, even though I don't know how to fish. I don't know any boating, but okay. +1 to city cap. It's always nice, but yes, we need to get to those Praetorians. Once we got them, I feel very confident about, getting a few of those into war, taking some of their territory. And with a new star, our Empire is top of the pile. Oh yes, first time we managed that in the game. Now not completely useless. Yeah, I like how all 3 of the peoples on this island are currently the top 3 in the leaderboard. Isn't that interesting? The war between the Huns and the Greeks has ended. That's a shame. Yeah, they used to have this territory over here, didn't they? Something Secundus or something like that. I'm guessing that got dealt with by the Greeks in their little war. And with a CAD done, they are ready to move on. First calendar. Okay. The vision of the calendar heralded a glorious day in the Empire's history. Well, I mean, we wouldn't know what day it was before the calendar. Anyway, now with 2 major cities. 2 major cities. 5, but how major they are, I guess it doesn't matter. And numerous farming affairs needed to be harmonised across the land. It is time to standardise this calendar. Traders must have an easy means of synchronising their activities. By what means do you wish to track the days, solar or lunar? Now. What should we do? Well, I guess it makes sense that the seasons kind of work in a solar way, but do you want to go with lunar because we're just a little bit more anarchic? I would say we're going to go with lunar. Why not? We work under the dark moonlight sky, so we'll stick with that for the time being. Now, one of the birds you might hear in the background, you might not have enough audio for that, but if you have this game, there's a which sounds very much like Nelson and the Simpsons. Once you've heard it, you will never unhear it. I'm sorry, I've just ruined this for everyone. But yes, that is very much the case. Expansionist star, we are 1 away from that. Well, if this old little manoeuvre up here succeeds, then yeah, perhaps we'll see that that star tick over for us as well. The unknown now feel differently about you. Well, that's slightly disturbing. Okay, I'm not really sure what triggers that one, but that's interesting. There is an awful lot of nonsense going on this screen here. Yeah, what's on my mind? You're deaf, my good sir, it's your deaf. We'll continue to flick through the turns for the time being because I'm just eager to see what's going to happen up here at Terrabellum, which I must say sounds awfully Roman to me, and thus is how it shall be. Okay, well, before we get to that, we'll just grab ourselves 1 more little district over in this part of the world. We could get ourselves Triumphal Arch over here. We're pretty stable. You know what? We're going to get the more farming once again because right now, yeah, you know what? That's next to that over there. It's next to the Science District, so we will do that. Marvellous. Okay, and we've got another idle city as well. Isn't that just a little bit rude? Let's get ourselves a bit more farm. Farm. +5 up there. Okay. Lovely, we'll do that. And with that, we will... Okay. We will one day end our turn. And we'll see what happens up here. Does that mean it's now ours? It does indeed. Oh, it does indeed. Isn't that interesting, Mr. Romans? Isn't that interesting? They will not be happy about any of that nonsense. So that's now our outpost then, I suppose. Let's just have a little look at this place. So we can't really do much to it. So we might as well pass it on and attach it to the main city down here. This is a long way away at this point. Okay, can we attach it? Yes, we can. And that is an era star. Someone just died instantly as a result of that. I feel like that maybe wasn't actually related. But, oh yes, Mycenaeans/Huns, you are looking rather surrounded. I'm looking at L-shaped empire, even if we're only 2 across at this particular area. So do we have ourselves over here? Ah, so the Scythian Neapolis over here. That's interesting. Didn't realise a new people had come and landed in this little spot. Isn't that interesting? These are traditional people. Okay. And then we have the Wasukani over here. Are you still in Zenith? Yes, you are indeed. Okay. So that's intriguing. Not quite sure what's going on over here. I'm not involved. Yes, I can see that. I was just intrigued. Yeah, they are very spread out, the Huns, and I don't really know what they're doing. Ardis Secundus seems to exist again. They're trying their nonsense, but I'm not sure it's going to work. We have started receiving demands from the Huns. Give us a knock. A knock? Really? This is the territory you want? It's they're probably asking for all of it. Just to tell me that their opinion has changed. Hate-filled. Oh dear. Yes, we may have just grabbed. Well, we just annexed one of their territories, really, didn't we? Yes, we did. I don't think we're ever going to get along. The Greeks, there's a chance, even though I must say we are looking awfully like competitors right now. They're looking to appease us, okay.
Or against me.
I'm with you, unless you're causing me problems. You can sit in your corner. I am perfectly fine with that. Now, you might have noticed a few little new things on here. We have the Garama over here, which I did have a little think about plunking down a city here, but you know what? They're fine enough to grab that. They are welcome to it. There's not really an awful lot going on in this new territory, but it's been coming up in my news feed for long enough. So you know what? I might as well have that. Now, oh look, we can finally actually see what's going on over here. Isn't that nice? Well, now we've seen it, we're going to plod back home. I could do with retraining up. Yeah, there we are. Friendly territory, so we're going to heal up. No need to have full movement points for that on this game. Isn't that just lovely? There's an administrative centre over there. We'll just annex that as well in a minute, my good sir. We'll just annex that as well. And what have we got? Foreign outposts for a city cap. That's good. Sounds like we're ready to go and grab more and more and more. Fool's gamble. As you might expect, some very rich chap has decided to throw away all of his money in gambling. And yes, Gamblor is a great monster who devours us all. But you know what? I'm not really so fond of losing the science, and I don't really want to be losing my industry. So I'm just going to consent to it for the meantime. Yes, maybe we need to figure out some little help for that chap in time. But let's not make any rash decisions for the time being. Talking of rash decisions, though, I suspect there's going to be one of those by these chaps, the Huns, very, very soon. But for an outpost researched. Yes, well, we seem to know quite a lot about very distant foreign researchers at this point. Foreign outposts. Oh, marvellous. Okay, -10 on all resources. Lovely stuff. And, yes, extra cap. And the quadrine, which one day we might consider building for those two peoples we haven't met who seem to have a changed opinion of us. Not really sure what was going on with all of that. Right, as these get themselves retrained, that will be grand. We are now 6 turns from the Praetorians. That is absolutely marvellous. And yeah, we're going to start getting a school out in Babylon as well, which is a good idea, I would suspect. And that should mean that we hopefully get that a little bit quicker if we can get any of those things done in time. Our science certainly seems to be decent, actually. We are actually well ahead on this particular era. We're going to... Yeah, I got this actually on my second save file. There's a little achievement for being the last to enter an era and the first to get out of it. That may or may not happen here, but it's certainly looking decent for us at the time being. And unfortunately, we are now diseased in Nock, which the miasma on this particular occasion is gambling, unfortunately. Yes, the Great Gambler has kind of somewhat taken over the city at this point, but it's not the Huns, so that's something I suppose we'll keep on flicking through the turns. And I'm amazed that war hasn't yet been declared, and yet another great unknown feels differently about me. Maybe I should just send messages in bottles out to the sea and just say, "A foreign people feel differently about you now." But it does feel a little bit strange, doesn't it? I tell you what we could do. Oh, there's another thing over here. The filthy man's threats are no more. Well, at least, yeah, a gamble on this one worked out. That guy's disappeared. All is absolutely fine. Isn't that just grand? Okay. Yes. We do need to get ourselves together, though, in the next few turns, Praetorian Guards, we're just going to start pumping them out. So whenever we've done our next round of buildings, it's just going to be a load of Imperial Guards, and then it's going to be the war on the Huns over in the east. Bit of a skirmish going on here outside of Seuss, but we've already taken out one unit. Second unit's going to go down pretty darn easily, and their third unit is not looking in a particularly good place. Our chariot will go and finish them off. What a pointless waste of a battle. This wasn't the Huns. Who are you guys? I'm not sure, but apparently we just won. So yes, the attacker has been defeated. And on we come to an ancient ruin, and on the pedestal there are some words: "Look at my works and despair, nothing beside remain." The image haunts me to this day, and yes, I worry that in time I will be not remembered. I'll be lost to the sands of time. So we're going to write many a great plays and all great tales to get us nice and patriotic for a bit, and I think that's probably a good idea, because I could do, to be honest, with some extra production for my new military. And with sailing, we find ourselves at the end of an era. And is anyone else there? No, we are on top. We're the first to reach the, I assume, medieval era. Interesting. Now we've researched sailing. Long last, we finally got fishing and sailing sorted. And with that, yes, we are now ready to move on. But we are very close to a few more of them. So I'll hold back on it, particularly as if we go back to this for a moment. Yes, there's a few here on military where we're currently destroyed 17 out of 19. We completed all of the science things. That's kind of ludicrous, and I'll show you the science in a moment because it has gone just a little bit bananas. Yes. So territories, yes, that's the other one. We should be able to grab some of this in the next few turns, because you might notice, yes, 4 turns, 1 turn, 2 turns, 2 turns. We got ourselves some, well, the stacks are building. Some of theirs, I should point out, they've got themselves basically a big pile of Hun hordes, and those are not fun to face. It's fair to say we've got another standoff over here in the north, and the armies are building. The music is building, for that matter, as well. And indeed, it's telling me that we can move on to a new era. And, well, let's take a little look. We're not going to do it quite yet, but let's see what we've got. So we have ourselves the Aztecs, militarist, as you might well expect. Lots of extra land movement, low cost and industry on the building. I think I've got that at the moment for my military, which is why I'm getting the Praetorians out so fast. Byzantines, we have merchants. Again, that's pretty much what I would expect. The Varangian Guards, good to have ourselves some Vikings along. That's all right by me. The Franks, okay, well, I suppose if we're that much of an anarchist, then as an Englishman I might well be able to take on the French. I wouldn't mind to have some cavalry units, actually, because, yeah, I've had 2 infantry units so far. Jacob warriors, of course. Yes, some Frankish knights would be rather lovely. Oh, Ghanaians. I've been to Ghana. I love Ghana. Although this is the Empire of Ghana, which is actually not covering any of the territory of modern Ghana. Modern Ghana was named after this old empire. So these will be merchants, I assume. Indeed they are. So +5 money on all the luxuries and all of that. That does sound fun, nice. The Teutons are expansionist. And again, yeah, Teutonic Knights. That's looking cool. The Khmer. And these lads are, they're builders. Interesting. They got themselves, elephants. Oh dear, I think, I haven't really done the industry yet, so that might be an idea. The English, hello sir, the plough is mightier than the sword, but the longbow is much the stronger. +7 food per number of attached territories on a city or outpost. Well, that could prove to be very nice indeed. Longbowmen, that wouldn't be too terrible. Yeah, something that's very worth bearing in mind is you can pick up different units through the eras, and okay, whilst they're always going to be semi-redundant, well, not redundant, but not as good as the previous era's units. If you've got, for example, my spearmen from the early game, you've got yourself some Praetorians, and then you maybe get some longbowmen. It's good. You're getting different types of units down, but Mongols, yes, I think I know who my neighbours, the Huns, are going to become in time. Militarist, would you guess? Mongol horde, or at least I could beat the Huns with the Mongols. That might be a fun way of doing it. We've got the Umayyads. That's absolutely marvellous. More science. We could go back to science and be the Umayyads, and they do have horses, so that would be pretty tempting. Although, to be honest, we don't have an awful lot of horses in our territory. We are a bit short on the numbers of horses. And finally, the Norsemen. I would have expected to see these around somewhere. And yes, indeed, lots of naval things. And they get the longship or the langskip, which makes it sound awfully Danish or indeed Norse, as this indeed here is. Although I do believe the Norse and the Swedish say that the Danish pretty much speak with frogs in their throats. So yeah, we'll call it similar enough, I suppose. Right, this is probably a good place to leave it for now. We're not going to obviously move on quite at this moment, and there'll be a huge war to smash up the Huns very soon indeed. We have a ridiculous ball of influence now. I'm actually on my city cap. Probably need to go and smash that cap up or find something to use the influence on. I might have to figure that one out, because throughout the earlier part of the game I've been using that up, but not so much now. Not so much now. My money isn't very good at all. Right, this has been an interesting day here. I feel like I'm finally getting vaguely okay at the game at this point. Having to catch up from a rather slow start, but we are top of the pile now. Everyone else is getting there, but we're going to add yet more fame before we move on. As for next part of this, well, we'll see how the videos do. The first video did fairly well, actually, for a new series, a new game. Second episode, well, at the time of recording right now, hasn't had too many views, and as much as I like to play this for myself, if it's really not going to have an awful lot of interest, then we may well see that we just leave the campaign here. So I'll see how the videos do. This is coming out on the Wednesday, so if there's another episode of this, it'll be on the following Wednesday. I'll give it time to see if the videos pick up. Maybe we'll see more from Humankind, even if we don't continue the series, because I wouldn't mind spending a lot more time on it myself, and then maybe looking at some guides. Look at this. Looking at a diamond of Praetorians. Isn't this just glorious? Oh, it's going to be fun. Yes, we'll definitely be seeing more from Humankind. Whether or not we'll continue this series for now, I don't know. We will see, I suppose. If you're listening to this, then spread the goodly news. But for now, I will leave you. I'm Thomas. This is Nerds the Human, and this has been the wonderful Humankind, and I think a fairly successful successor to Civilization 6. Thank you, and bye-bye. Welcome to the strangely Irish edition of Star Trek Armada 2. Anyone want to finish off this board cube? It's not going very well for us. Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Picard is talking from the deaf.
We've lost our best hope of stopping the
No, it's happened again.
We have failed.